woman you desire to be will always be a passing thought instead of you becoming her in reality, because somehow we have conditioned ourselves to tolerate all of these lies that we tell ourselves. I can't keep the promise to myself to go to the gym 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, but somehow I can manage to binge watch the show that my mom told me to watch because, oh my gosh, it's just that good. And do we not find it problematic that we struggle to keep the promises that we make to ourselves, but we will move heaven and earth if we could on a low energy day at that to show up for someone else, all because we want to avoid being the bad or the unsupportive friend. We keep the promises that we make to everyone else, but somehow we constantly, over and over again, break the promises that we make to ourselves. Where is our loyalty to self? Where is our respect for self? And then what's wild is that we turn around and wonder why nothing is changing. We've normalized breaking our word to ourselves. It's not intentional, but it's repeatedly. And over time, that quiet self-betrayal starts eroding our self-trust. From this point forward, we are done making excuses. There will be absolutely no more negotiation. Let's break down how we're going to start keeping the promises that we make to ourselves. But first, let's get an understanding of why we're breaking them to begin with. We've all heard it before, things don't change unless you change. So how is it that something so simple is still so hard to live by? And I really want you to sit with this for just a moment. Each of us are going to have a different answer because each of us are living a different life experience right now. Lack of time, lack of energy, lack of motivation, kids, finances, work, being a caretaker, fear, anxiety. These are all things that come to mind that we feel get in the way of us experiencing the change that we would like to see in our lives. Those are just general things that come to mind, but it's deeper than that. And that's what I realized when I sat with this thought. The light bulb finally went off and I was like, we don't change because we lie to ourselves. Not maliciously, not intentionally, but we lie to ourselves. Why? Because we want to avoid processing what we're really feeling. We want a temporary relief. Yes, we want to avoid what feels uncomfortable, what feels uncertain, or what feels like it would expose too much of our inner world. But here's the problem. Left unchecked, that lying slowly turns into self-protection. And over time, we start to become comfortable living in the lie. Not because we're incapable of honesty, but because the lie feels safer than telling ourselves the truth. Lying to ourselves to avoid our real emotions is actually very common. It's something that all of us have probably done at one point or another because it is the easiest way to escape. But if I'm avoiding what I truly feel, what am I doing? I'm suppressing it, and that suppression has a cost. When I suppress my feelings, I lose emotional resonance with myself. I distance myself from others. I create more situations that eventually demand to be processed just as much as the other previous situations needed to be. So the very thing that I'm avoiding, it keeps piling up. The longer that cycle continues, the harder it becomes to trust myself because I haven't been able to be honest with myself. This is exactly why so many women right now are struggling with their belief system, struggling to believe that they're actually capable, struggling to believe that good things are possible for them and not just for everyone else around them. Because the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, they cannot live at odds with each other. Consciously, yes, you could tell yourself, well, I believe in myself, I'm capable, I deserve more. But the subconscious mind, if it knows, and it does, that you've repeatedly broken your word to yourself, those affirmations don't land. You might want to believe in all of the possibilities available to you. And honestly, in the conscious mind, briefly, just for a moment, you do. But then the subconscious mind remembers all of the times that you said you would start and you didn't, all of the times you broke the promises to yourself, all of the times that you talked yourself out of not showing up. You cannot fool that part of your mind because that part of your mind is built on 100% truth. It is not built on intention. So you don't reprogram by pretending. You have to reprogram it with proof. How do you do this? You do this by acknowledging the lies. You do it by acknowledging the failures. And when you acknowledge your failures, don't do it with shame in your heart. You don't have anything to be ashamed of. It is a learned experience and you are acknowledging it. And then at that point, you can decide for yourself, I am going to do something different. I'm going to show up different and I'm going to stay committed. We stifle our progress in many different ways, but lying to ourselves is arguably probably the most damaging because it doesn't just affect our actions, it begins to reshape how we think. And more often than not, it is at the root of many of our failed attempts. For example, failed gym goals. If you've had gym goals in place for yourself to become healthier, to get your body more toned, and you did not hit those goals, you fell short, some of that falling short could be tied to lies that you've told yourself about the discipline and consistency that you were having, or maybe not so much having. Maybe there was a promotion that you feel like you missed out on. Could that missed opportunity be somehow connected to lies that you may have told yourself about your work ethic or about how prepared you were? Struggling relationships? Frequently tied to lies that we tell ourselves, especially about our self-worth and our boundaries. I fully believe in a person starting over as many times as they need to. Honestly, I don't feel like any of us should feel shame for starting over as many times as we need to. But at some point, we do have to ask ourselves, why do I have to keep starting over? It's not just lack of motivation. There is a pattern that needs to be addressed. And that pattern almost always is going to start with honesty. Keeping your word to yourself is not about perfect execution. It's not about completing massive feats in a short amount of time. It's not about having the most optimized, color-coded, flawlessly organized system. It's actually much simpler than that, I promise you. Simply put, it means there is a daily urgency for you to prioritize the actions that serve future you instead of serving you from yesterday. Daily urgency meaning that every single day you're making forward thinking decisions when it comes to your actions. Now, yes, we 100% want to stay present-minded, but when it comes to how we move, we stop treating those commitments as optional and we start looking at them like they're investments. An investment into your future capacity, an investment into your self-trust, an investment into the happy and healed version of yourself. And here's the most important thing that I want you to keep in mind. Investments do not have to be perfect. I want you to think of someone who has recently just purchased an investment property and it needs renovation. When you start that project, it's not perfect in the beginning. You have to have someone come in and do measurements and knock out walls and rebuild and reframe. But what they're doing is a daily investment. The forward thinking is this house is going to be market ready, maybe within a month, maybe within 2 months, but each day up until that point, it is a daily investment. Everyone on that team is showing up every single day, making small strategic improvements. And then finally, guess what? That house is in perfect condition and it's ready to go. Same thing would apply to someone who purchases a dividend stock, for example. I believe my first dividend stock, I probably got paid monthly, anywhere from $10 to $23. Remember, when you purchase a dividend stock at the beginning, it's small. The dividend payouts are extremely small. We purchase those dividend stocks with forward thinking. Why? Because we know that that growth is going to compound over time. This is the exact same approach that we can take when it comes to keeping our word to ourselves. If you say, I'm going to cook at home this week, and you actually cook at home, that is an investment because future you, she's a happy, healthy version. So you're doing the right now action of cooking at home, which I'm sure you're going to create healthier meals for not only yourself, but for your family. And you're going to save financially because you're cutting back on all of the dinners and the random, drinks and this and that. If you say you're going to work on a task for 20 minutes and you keep your word and you actually work on that task every day for 20 minutes, you have made the proper investment into yourself. I told you guys on a previous video, I am learning Italian. I only do Italian lessons 15 to 20 minutes a day. But that investment is going to do what for me in the future? It's going to help me to become fluent in Italian. Just over the last 2 weeks, I've probably learned 75 to 100 words. If I'm making that daily investment of 15 to 20 minutes, that growth is going to compound over time. None of these actions are dramatic. None of them are glamorous or over the top elaborate schemes that you came up with. It's very simple tasks, very simple investments. But let me tell you something. When you follow through on your word and you stay committed with those small little daily investments, every single time that you do that, you are depositing a little more trust along the way. When it comes to keeping your word to yourself, you're not only rebuilding your self-trust, but you're also rebuilding and reshaping your character. When we allow all of that emotional processing to go unchecked and we actually begin to live inside the lie, what happens is all of the previous character traits that you had, they slowly start to change into new character traits that support this new mindset that lives inside of the lie. Repetition creates identity. So again, if you're living inside this lie day in and day out, everything about you is going to begin to change. If we have a broken self-trust from living inside of the lie, the character traits are going to start looking like what? It's going to look like inconsistency. It's going to look like distraction. It's going to look like avoidance, emotional reactivity, over explaining, rationalizing, procrastinating under pressure, struggling with follow-through, being indecisive, having quiet self-doubt. Let's be honest, no one is waking up one day and just saying, I choose to be indecisive today. I choose to not know what I want. I choose to be completely confused in my desires. Having self-doubt does not start from just having one bad day. Neither does avoidance. Avoidance doesn't just pop up overnight. These traits are usually triggered by a series of moments that have taken place where we chose comfort over honesty or ease over accountability. But here's the shift: choosing to keep your word even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels like it exposes your weaknesses or it forces you to confront yourself, is how new character traits are going to be formed. Traits that reshape your life, like being grounded, consistent, self-respecting, disciplined, focused, selective with your energy, self-governing, resilient, present, internally validated. This is what happens when self-trust becomes your standard. The relationship that you have with yourself is truly the hardest relationship that you will ever work on. But on the other side of that, it is also the most rewarding relationship that you will ever work on, because how you treat yourself becomes the blueprint for how you allow others to treat you. For example, when we tolerate romantic relationships and friendships where we are always over forgiving, or we're always finding ourselves giving the benefit of the doubt, always making excuses for the behavior that isn't sitting right, it's rarely about that person. It's usually because we have been over forgiving with our own standards. When you don't consistently meet your own expectations, quiet beliefs will start forming. And those quiet beliefs usually sound like, well, maybe my standards are too high. Maybe I shouldn't expect so much. So you lower the bar externally to match what you've normalized internally. But when you work on the relationship that you have with yourself and you start keeping your word and you start honoring your boundaries and you start raising your internal standards, the tolerance level that you had before, it will disappear. I promise you, it will evaporate like smoke. We always hear treat others how you want to be treated, but the real order is treat yourself how you want others to treat you, but do it first. I am so sorry. Y'all, my lips were so dry. It was ridiculous. And my throat is, I'm a little parched. I need some water. All of this awareness means nothing without action, right? Like without a course of action, it's just language. It's just words. The words make us feel good. The words give us a warm, tingly sensation. We feel pumped. We feel inspired. We feel like, okay, I can go out and conquer the world. But if you don't have a course of action or some kind of blueprint to follow, nothing will change. Rebuilding self-trust, again, it doesn't require some massive overhaul. That is not the goal here. What we want is one small, non-negotiable promise, which I broke down in this video if you want to check that out. Let's think about it from this perspective, which is not something I shared in this video right here. Totally different. Let's say you are upset with your best friend. You found out from a mutual friend that your best friend shared a piece of information about you with her. Now, is this critical type of information? No. Is it damaging type of information? No, but you still thought when you shared this piece of information with your best friend that it was going to remain confidential. You didn't think that you had to explain that. So you come to your best friend and you're having a conversation and you're like, I gotta be able to trust you. How can I feel like I can trust you again or feel comfortable around you? At that point, we don't want just words. Words mean absolutely nothing at that point. What do we want? We want action, because we know that action always speaks louder than the words. So what action do we want? We want a good faith gesture. Your best friend giving you that good faith gesture, that says what? That says, okay, I don't need to keep a side eye on you. I can trust you. I can feel comfortable around you. I know that you value this bond that we have created just as much as I do. Like, that's what a good faith gesture does. Guess what? A mini goal will work the exact same way. A mini goal is a good faith gesture to yourself, proof that what? That I can in fact trust myself again to keep my word. Just one non-negotiable mini goal becomes a daily investment into rebuilding that self-trust. Not motivation, not intensity, consistency with that one mini goal. And when I say this mini goal can be so simple, maybe you have struggled with your water intake and you are having some side effects, the muscle cramps, feeling drained and tired. You're noticing that you are severely dehydrated. One mini goal, drink 8 ounces of water before you eat anything. We're not talking about 100 ounces here. We are talking about 8 ounces. If you stay consistent with just drinking that 8 ounces before you eat your food, over time, you're going to develop a thirst for that hydration, and you're going to add more ounces into your day until what? You reach that 80 to 100 ounces. You're struggling with your daily presentation. Maybe you have just really not been putting an effort into yourself. Let me at least start with my hair. Okay, so the mini goal then becomes what? Let me just do my hair every Sunday. If I do my hair every Sunday, I eliminate the thought process of my hair during the week. The point of this obviously is not the task itself. The point is that you keep that promise that you made with yourself. Whatever agreement you put in place, you honor it, you keep your word. That's how the character changes stick. Each of us are designing a very specific kind of life, whether we realize it or not, right? Like, we're women with dreams and aspirations, and every time we close our eyes, we can see it. We can see the beautiful home. We can see us on the beach and the different travel that is taking place. We can see the routine where we really have embodied that feminine energy, and we have the routine to match it. We have the look. But I want you to stop for just a second. Stop looking at everything that is on the outside. Think about how that woman actually feels on the inside. That woman, I can guarantee she is grounded. She feels secure. She's very calm in her decision making. She's internally validated and deeply, deeply connected to her instincts. That woman is not just an aesthetic. She is created by self-trust. This is who you become on the back end when you start keeping your word to yourself. When you stop abandoning yourself in all of those small little ways, and when the loyalty to your own integrity becomes non-negotiable. The life you're visualizing is built by the woman who trusts herself enough to show up, not just consistently, but honestly. And another thing about that woman, her foundation does not include hesitation. It also does not include over-promising or over-explaining. A woman who trusts herself does not need to negotiate her own decisions. The beautiful thing about this restored self-trust is that it truly begins to spill into every area of your life. So yes, your boundaries become clearer, but your relationships, they become more intentional. Your finances are handled appropriately. They're handled with foresight and not with impulse. Your identity, it becomes stable instead of reactive. So when you really become this woman and you embody all of these qualities, it's not that you just want the better life. Now you're actually structured to sustain the life that you desire. The woman I am today would likely tell my younger self, move in silence. Future me though, future me is telling me right now, what is agreed upon in silence is sacred. Whatever agreements you come to with yourself, I need you to treat it like a sacred bond. When we look at something as being sacred, we try to protect that at all costs because we feel its value is precious. Self-trust is not performative work. No one needs to know what you promised yourself. No one needs to clap. No one needs to validate it. The repairing of your self-trust is a sacred bond, and I need you to protect it because its value is precious. This bond becomes the determining factor in how you experience life, literally on the day-to-day, how you flow through your mornings, how you respond to discomfort, how much peace you allow yourself to have. There's just so much to learn about yourself during this season, especially when you are heavy in a season of rebuilding that self-trust. There's a lot to learn. So no, this is not about being in total isolation. This is not about disappearing from the face of the earth and going into a cave somewhere. You can still laugh with your friends. You can still love very deeply. You can still be present with all of the people that matter the most to you. It's just that the ultimate overall focus is just different now. It's about getting reacclimated with yourself. It's about learning those new rhythms that are presenting themselves. It's about rebuilding your confidence and being able to define that confidence in your own words. It's about learning to trust that internal voice that you have, trusting it 100% wholeheartedly. This is quiet work, it's private work, it's sacred work. But the woman that you develop into, oh my gosh, she'll be amazing. She won't have to announce that she's becoming anything. Her life will do all of the explaining for her. That is all that I have for you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation. This is probably one of my most favorite conversations that I've done. I really enjoyed making this for you guys, and I hope that you received it well. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, my loves.